right, looks like we're live. Let's give it just a moment here, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have a transmission? All right. Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you on this evening time from the streets of Orange County, California. Today is Monday, September 11th, 2023. This is your host, Joe Imbriano, otherwise known as the Fullerton Informer. P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, WiFiDangers.com, CellTowerDangers.com, VaxDangers.com, many other .coms, folks. Well, today is September 11th, 2023. And to all of the people that have been murdered by governments all over the world as a result of false flags and wars and all of these horrendous, horrific things, may their deaths not be in vain, and may the sacrifices of those who have been innocently slaughtered unfortunately be a warning to all of us that we could all be next. You know, I find it so ironic that back in the Certificate of Vaccination ID-19 operation rollout that officially launched in March of 2020, I found it very odd that a company called MGM Resorts International decided to sell some of the most profitable real estate in the entire world located on the Las Vegas Strip just 2.5 months to 3 months before the COVID outbreak began. I believe in November of 2019, MGM Resorts International, which owned at the time, I believe 13 hotel properties on the Las Vegas Strip. In November of 2019, just 3 or 4 months before the COVID operation was launched, they sold a majority of their hotels to, I believe, BlackRock as a majority stakeholder, and then they leased them back. So they went to an all-cash position on their real estate holdings and began renting 3.5 months before the lockdown. Did you hear what I just said? Well, if MGM Resorts International isn't some sort of barometer as to what we can expect, I don't know what is, simply because today, 9/11, September 11th, 2023, MGM Resorts International, which is still operating many casinos on the Las Vegas Strip, suffered from a cyber attack today, which affected their slot machines, guests' room access. Their cards wouldn't open their doors. The credit cards wouldn't work in the restaurants. The reservation systems went down. Ladies and gentlemen, that event that took place today, I believe, was a ritual, and a highly symbolic ritual that is going to usher in a series of major events that are 9/11 level events, which I believe will be intentional cyber attacks. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand what happens when the electronics stop working. And don't fall for this Donald Trump fan base false narrative. You know, there's a group of people out there that are pushing Trump and pushing this EMP, pushing Russia being behind it and all that. Folks, you need to understand that these cyber attacks don't come from idiots in these countries. They come from the intelligence agencies, okay? And they're also allowed to take place because the back doors in all of the computers and the chips and the systems have been built in by the manufacturers, okay? Now, let's talk about the intelligence agencies. Who is the #1 intelligence agency in the world? Well, that would be the Mossad out of Israel. Who is the second most powerful intelligence agency in the world? Well, that would be Pakistani intelligence out of Pakistan, right? So who is the third most powerful intelligence agency in the world? Well, that would be in England, possibly. And by the way, the United States Central Intelligence Agency is down like in 4th or 5th position. And so if that doesn't tell you that we're literally being set up to be the sitting ducks, I don't know who or what does. But my point is, a cyber attack is imminent. As a matter of fact, a majority of cyber attacks that are going to be coming have already been planned in advance, folks. And they're going to happen. And it's not that we can't stop them. You need to understand that these intelligence agencies and these governments all over the world all work together to lock us down in 2020, all work together to push for the vaccine in 2020 and 2021, and all of these governments are signed on to the Antarctic Treaty. They're signed on to all these space programs. They're signed on to all this central banking. They're signed on to these military alliances as they fight these so-called fake wars to create these pretexts so they can have their terrorist attacks that they can blame on the boogeyman that they want to blame, as they plunge the targeted peoples into chaos, and they give the pretext to preemptively attack innocent nations a green light. And that is extremely frightening, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I simply just can't let the symbolism that stares me in the face go unnoticed. It's not getting the news coverage it needs to get. You know, there is a group of people out there that are these loyal Trump supporters that are telling you to prep for an EMP and, you know, this. By the way, I might as well tell you, there is no such thing as an electromagnetic pulse weapon that they can detonate over the United States and knock out all the electronics, okay? There's no such thing as that stuff, all right? Now, there are things like cyber terrorists who get trained in high school before they graduate on how to perform such things as a condition of their graduation in countries all over the world. They can take out the computer systems remotely, and they can take them out remotely and selectively because the back doors have been built into all these electronics. Now, what can we expect from such a scenario? Well, a cyber attack will be probably strategically placed in an area that would involve several cities at once to really freak everybody out. And let me tell you one of the reasons why I believe they're going to do this. Because the internet as we know it today, ladies and gentlemen, is far beyond serving its usefulness to these controllers. It was created as a double-edged sword to monitor everyone's thinking and speech and behavior and whereabouts and location. And it existed as a two-way street of information flow. And they're done with all the intel gathering, and that's why the reasons for the masks last so long, because they were testing out the facial recognition systems with the masks on all over the place. And they're done letting us talk to each other and get all this information off the internet. So when they run their cyber attacks, first and foremost, it's going to be so bad. And people are going to die from this, folks, because the power's going to go out. There are going to be riots. Water's not going to work. Sewage systems aren't going to work. Banks aren't going to have any money for you to access. The grocery stores won't be open. The cash registers won't work. And people will be screaming for a new internet that this can't happen on. And they've already got it ready to go. And it's going to be one that's going to be controlled centrally by the government. And they're going to tell us that until we relinquish all of our anonymity, these events will be something they can't stop. So in order for us to emerge from this post-cyber attack world, we have to have a complete system of command and control, centralized information dissemination, and centralized control over the infrastructure, which already exists to an extent. But there are a lot of weak links and a lot of plugins and a lot of backdoors to the system the way it is right now. So you're going to hear a lot about hardening our systems, and that means centralizing its access and control. That's the ultimate goal, aside from creating the pretext to attack whatever country they want and to use the military to bomb places back to the Stone Age like they did 22 years ago after 9/11, where millions of people have been murdered who had nothing to do with anything that happened on that day. But that's a different discussion. A cyber attack could happen anywhere at any time and leave you stranded, leave you without access to your money, your access to freely travel, your access to communicate with your family, your loved ones, your friends. And that is going to be extremely painful, and that is by design. They can shut off the power, and they can shut off the water, and they can shut off these sewage systems. And so why am I making this video? Number one, so you'll know what's coming. And number two, so you'll know why it's coming. And number three, so you can get out in front and prepare. The cyber attacks will be temporary. They will be strategic. They may run them in a large city. They may run them in a small town. They may run them sporadically in different key places. But the desired effect will be a form of psychological warfare that will leave the American people screaming for government intervention to rescue them from what will happen. And let me tell you, the solution that the governments propose is always twice as bad as the problem, if not exponentially worse. You need to have alternate forms of communication, such as CB radios, such as ham radios, such as handheld walkie-talkies. They could jam those frequencies, but it's not likely. You need to have alternative sources of electricity, as battery backups with inverters, or a generator that runs on propane or gasoline, or solar panels that run batteries that are hooked up to an inverter. You need to have flashlights. You need to have water filters. You need to have trash bags to put your poop and pee into, and buckets with lids on them. You need to have food stored up. You need to have a way to heat your food if the power's out. You need to have firefighting equipment like fire extinguishers. You need to have water to rinse your body and your teeth and clean your dishes. You need to have the ability to survive and operate for a period of time without the increments that they literally have gotten us so addicted to, that have turned everybody so soft. You see, the biggest element of their effectiveness in the cultural and the social revolution and the changes and the reorganization and the restructuring that they have planned for us is directly proportionate to the amount of pain they inflict on us and the amount of fear they can instill in us. Okay? So the more shock and awe, the more we yield and cave to their demands. Now, the artificial intelligence has been around for a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a lot of AI for a very long time, and they've just released it slowly to the point now where, you know, all the students are cheating on all their English and their writing assignments, and the internet is being flooded with websites where the AI is writing all these articles and all these chat rooms. You have the AI bots that are, you know, trolling and putting out disinformation. And a lot of the news stories are generated by AI. Even some of the news coverage and the anchormen and women are AI generated. They're not even real people. But the reason that they're leaking and drip marketing us and bottle feeding us AI now is because they're going to tell us that the AI is going to be responsible for some of these cyber attacks as well. And just so you know, computer networks and computer systems work. There are trillions of lines of code in stuff, and you know, if you got a few digits that are corrupted, you know, the thing can go haywire, folks. And you know, I will tell you that in cybersecurity, in that industry, anyone in that industry will tell you that we are always reactive, creating patches to the problems, and not proactive, because we don't know what the next move is going to be. So if you can imagine these intelligence agencies having the advantages that they have and always being one step ahead, that will clearly demonstrate our vulnerabilities to only react and not prevent what they have planned for us. If you live in a cold region, you need to be able to have an alternative source of heating if the power goes out, an alternative source of communication. You do not want to be in a situation where you can't heat your home, you can't cook your food, and you don't have water. These problems are not difficult to compensate for, ladies and gentlemen. You could take, I'm going to tell you something right now. You could, the next time you drive by somebody getting rid of their washing machine or their dryer, stop your car and look and see if it has a steel or a stainless steel drum. And if it does, take that thing and throw it in your car, go get your buddy's truck and bring it home, and take that thing apart and take the drum out of it and put it in your backyard and wait to use it for a fire pit. You can cook on that. It would be like a stove if you put a grill on it or a pot in it. You can live without the accoutrements if you're prepared in advance and understand that they are going to run these on a short-term intermittent basis to freak everybody out. Now, they've got everybody out there thinking that there's these electromagnetic pulse weapons, right? They put it in the movies, so, when you think the power goes out, they're going to tell you that the power went out all over the United States, whatever. They're going to lie to you about everything, folks. You need to have hand saws, chainsaws, any type of wood cutting equipment so you can cut up wood and burn it if you're in the cold. You need to have water stored up, a water filtration device to filter tap water, to filter water you have stored. Every time you throw away a 1 gallon milk bottle or a 2-liter soda bottle, you're throwing away the potential of water storage. If you have a water filter, and I'm not talking about a reverse osmosis that requires a municipal water supply's pressure. I'm talking about if you have like one of those gravity filters, you can buy them on the internet. You can dump bad water into that thing and out the spigot will come drinkable water. You don't need that much water to survive, but you do need clean water to survive. You need water to wash dishes, wash your body, and deal with the inconvenience that could be a protracted event. We don't know. All I know is it's their next move, I believe. I think they've beat the heck out of the virus thing for a little while, although it's still out there. But I do think from a symbolic gesture that was displayed today, I think that's their next move, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't want this warning to go unheeded. Preparation steps are very simple, folks. You need to have canned food, can openers, alternative sources of lighting, such as flashlights, candles. You need to have a communication system. You can get CB radios on the internet, handheld CB radios for 40 or 50 bucks. You need to be able to communicate with your family. Now, they don't go very far. They may go, a mile or two, but that's better than nothing, okay? Some of you don't get that far away from your family members, and it can make all the difference in the world if you do. You need to have a set of shoes in your car that you can walk home if the traffic signals go out and the power goes out and traffic is gridlocked. You need to have a backpack in your car with some water and some weapons in it if you have to defend yourself on your way home. If you're stuck somewhere when this happens, you have to have a blanket and some food in your car in case you're stuck and you can't get home. You need to have these things on your person, folks. Your car should have enough stuff in the car if you get stuck somewhere for a couple of days, or if you have to walk home and foot it for whatever your commute distance is from your home. And you need to have enough supplies in your home to hold you up for at least a couple of weeks. You do yourself a favor. If you wish, you can do a dry run by shutting off your water and shutting off your electricity and living for a day or two without those two things, and you will immediately find out exactly what you need. Because once those things are turned off, the void will immediately present itself and make itself apparent as to what are absolute necessities for your continued survival and existence given the potential circumstances we face, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, most importantly, the knowledge of Jesus Christ, the wisdom of his Holy Spirit, and the faith in Almighty God the Father will sustain us as we go into these times, ladies and gentlemen, which I believe, unfortunately, are an inevitability, given the amount of time and effort that they have spent preparing us to become this vulnerable and this dependent on technology. It has been leading up to this for a long time. The ultimate goal from this will be absolute total control, facial recognition, digital currency, a government-controlled, highly censored internet. And these are the things that they are going to demand we acquiesce to. We need to be prepared to defend our families, in our homes, in our properties, in our apartments, in our condos, in our mobile homes. And if you're living on a boat, if you're living in your motorhome, you need to be able to defend yourself from marauders, attackers, and criminals. That can involve a variety of defensive weapons, all the way from knives and hatchets and axes to firepower, folks. There are many ways to devise a defense strategy. Hopefully, by warning enough people and by sharing this message, we can get enough people awake and prepared that will put a dent in the bedlam that they're going to attempt to establish to get us to go along with their plan. I'm not here to freak you out. They're the ones that are the experts at freaking you out, because that's all they do every night on the news and with the movies. Everything now is satanic possession movies and bombings and killings and murders and ghoulish, demonic, devil-worshipping video games and everything else. So don't give me a hard time about trying to be realistic and prudent in these times ahead. All right, folks, that's enough. This has been your host, Joe Imbriano. This is September 11th, 2023. And let's hope we can stop the next one by getting out in front and telling them it ain't going to work, folks. Take care.